Disclaimer. Please forgive me now for there may be mispronunciations in this video. The Conjuring is a very popular horror film inspired or based on the events that brought on the Warrens to the job of identifying what horrors were occurring to the Perron family. The movie was released in 2013, but the story began in the 1970s. In January of 1971, Roger and Carolyn Perron, along with their 5 daughters April, Sydney, Christine, Nancy, and Andrea, moved into their new house located in Harrisville, Rhode Island. When they moved in, they got advice from their neighbors that went something like this: "For the sake of your family, leave the lights on at night." Activity started, but the strange occurrences were barely thought of as having been paranormal experiences until they built up. Things were moved, and weird sounds were made. Soon things would change. The children were sometimes tucked in at night by flower and fruit-smelling apparitions, and sometimes even kissed on the forehead by these spirits. But not all were kind. The children were attacked in the barn by unseen entities. At some point, Carolyn, the mother, did research the history of the home and learned that it had been in the same family for 8 generations, and many of them had died under mysterious, horrible, or both circumstances, such as several of the children had died drowned in a nearby creek. One was murdered, and a few of them hanged themselves in the attic. Andrea, one of the daughters, claimed her sister Cindy climbed into bed with her one night after hearing a voice mention that there were 7 dead soldiers buried in the wall. One morning at 5:15, the smell of rotting flesh would waft through the house, tossing everyone out of bed one by one. Around this time, Andrea claimed that the girls were being visited by a male ghost that tortured them so badly that she refused to give any concrete details on the events. Carolyn Perron had the most difficult time. In an interview with the Providence Journal, she claimed something was wrong when a woman in gray stood next to her bed one morning, moaning, "Get out, get out. I'll drive you out with death and gloom." Some speculate that the woman in gray could have been the ghost of a woman named Bathsheba Thayer, who is the witch believed to have done most of the hauntings. Andrew would come to say that whoever the ghost was, she perceived herself to be the mistress of the house, and she resented the competition her mother posed for that position. Bathsheba's attack began as harmless activity at first, such as pinching, poking, and prodding. The parents believed Bathsheba wanted them to leave, and she tried to do this by physically assaulting Carolyn. But when that didn't ward them off, the parents claimed that Bathsheba possessed Carolyn's body. Doing this action gave Bathsheba the cause to do the mother and her family intense bodily harm, and it left Carolyn feeling weak and emotionally drained. In most accounts of the story, it was the parents that reached out to Ed and Lorraine Warren. But according to Andrea, a family friend went to see the Warrens when they were given a speech in Putnam, Connecticut. Cindy Perron backs this up, saying in an interview that a family friend named Barbara went to the Warrens' lecture and then came back to tell the family about the Warrens. Interested in the case, the Warrens came to investigate, and immediately Lorraine Warren claimed that she sensed a dark presence in the house. According to the parents, the Warrens cleansed the home and conducted a seance with Carolyn in the basement. The seance did not go as planned and made things worse. The Warrens would visit the Perron family over the course of the next decade, but they were never able to fix anything. Lorraine never publicly discussed what happened during the seance, but she did say that what happened disturbed her to the core. Andrea agrees to Lorraine's story, having snuck into the basement to see the seance firsthand. She was never able to look at her mother the same way again. According to Andrea, her mother spoke in a language not of this world and a voice that wasn't of her own. That's not all. Her chair even levitated, and Carolyn was thrown across the room. I'm not sure when these events occurred, but Cindy Perron claimed that while the girls were playing hide-and-seek on the farm, she hid in a pine box without any kind of lock, latch, or ventilation. After no one came to find her, she decided to find a new hiding place. She tells an interviewer that the box wouldn't open and she started to panic. She kicked and screamed, but no one heard her. 20 minutes later, her sister Nancy came along and opened the box without effort to find her. So why didn't they leave? Like most people who dealt with hauntings, they probably didn't have the money. However, in 1980, the Perron family was able to sell the house. So how bad was this haunting? From the viewpoint of one of the owners, Norma Sutcliffe, the house isn't as haunted as you might have heard. Norma claimed that she has only heard people talking in other rooms, heard footsteps when no one is home, and saw a strange blue light shooting around the room. After The Conjuring came out, Norma wanted to disprove the Perron case. She did her own research and found that Bathsheba was just a normal woman who was married and had 4 children. 3 of them did die at a young age, and in 1885 Bathsheba passed away from a stroke and was buried next to her first husband and 3 children. So what do you think of this haunting case? Do you believe it was as bad as they say? What do you think? Let me know in the comments.